Yo, what's up guys, welcome back. So, new Volcanic support, let's try it out. They got some support a couple of weeks ago with a new trap, which is basically your hero lifts, which is not in the main deck, while the other one, the one you see here, the card is called, I believe, Bonfire, which is basically a reinforcement of the army for, what is it, Pyro, right? Level 4 or lower, I think? Yeah, I think so. So that's kind of big for Volcanic. Again, one of the biggest weaknesses of Volcanic is that you weren't able to search like rockets or the new ones, especially the new Stratos, at a consistent way, right? But this new Rota kind of changes that. The thing is that I've played Artis. I started to try with pure Volcanic, so 40 cards, again pure, basically everything at 3. But that's, first of all, kind of slowish, while on the other hand, it's very easily stopped by a hand trap. One hand trap most of the time is enough. At least that's, my experience with the deck. Like, you normal summon one of the new ones, the level 3 one, the one that searches your Blaze Accelerator, for example. If your opponent failures or imperms that, most of the time you're stuck. Unless, of course, you already have a Blaze Accelerator in your hand, the new one. So I went to give it a try, at least I went back to another list I had, which is the Sprite variant from a couple of weeks ago that I already uploaded, but I kind of liked the idea of adding in Runic, so I went to give that a try. And I like it. I really like it. So 60 cards. A couple of cards that I'm not running in the main deck is a new trap card, which is basically a hero lifts, maybe a bit too slow. There's no space in the deck for that. I'm also not running any foolish burial card. They also got a new one, but I think it's a dead card, a dead weight for this, hybrid for the deck. So short sets. The thing now is that you're not stuck if your opponent prevents your normal summon. So let's say if your opponent imperms your level 3, for search. There's again multiple follow-up plays after that. You could potentially, have any runic for a level 2, and as you know, level 2 equals basically sprint for angler, beaver, yada yada. So that's another recovery line basically. While on the other hand, you have the runic cards. Again, I don't need to explain the runic cards, right? Super flexible, both going first and going second, plus interruption and disruption, and defensive-wise, offensive actually as well. So it's a, fantastic engine, even though the field spell being at 2. Sprites again speak from themselves. You maybe saw in the previous build I uploaded some time ago with, sprites that was like 45 cards, I believe, in the main deck, but the biggest gimmick of that was Mannequin Cat. When, let's say your opponent uses Ash, you can, again, with your gazillion ways to go for Mannequin Cat, you can potentially Mannequin Cat back your opponent's Ash. They control a fire attribute, and then, you can basically tutor your entire Volcanic engine from the deck. So, like, all these 3 engines, they go super well together. And I like the idea of Saryuja, so I kind of stole that as well. That's cool. I mean, Saryuja for this is, it again gives you an extra summon, so it kind of makes sense. Could potentially replenish your hand also. So that's really cool as well. But again, it's a super control-based deck. So here's short set. I believe the Saryuja got me into another blue, right? Basically an extra monster. And Appaloosa preventing Ray from being summoned. And of course, that's the strength, I guess, of not playing 40 cards, is that there are some cards that you don't really want to draw into, like Scatter Shot, for example. You would rather want to have that one in the deck to, send it to the deck, send it to the graveyard with your trap, Rekeki your opponent's board. Volcanic Inferno, the trap that negates monster effects. It's searchable off of that new Doomfire Volcanic, one of your semi-bosses, which is just fine as a one-off. But I feel, especially 60 cards, that trap that negates monster effects, I feel is fine as a 2-off. Again, searchable, as you see. And its most important effect is its last effect that, sends up to 2, banished Volcanics or Volcanics in the grave back to the deck. So that's important, and that's, I guess, the biggest weakness of this deck is, I was about to say, they don't have a, like a reliable Pot of Everest-like card. But now with Bonfire, you could search, what is it called? The level 4 that sends back for... the old school Pot of Everest for Volcanics. You know which one I mean. It's in the side deck. Yeah, that one. So anyway, going second against the Vanquish Souls, good deck, especially in our current format. So here, as I was about to say again, the Noble Summon being stopped. Tikabo is fine. Again, there are multiple monster types, so this is all cool. Surge the field spell, try to surge the field spell, but again, the red is going to save the day. The one of red in the main deck, so searching field and potentially hoping to draw, you know, more cards, potentially establish my board. So and my next play should be Phoenix. I think Phoenix popping the... Oh no, this was a mistake. This definitely was a mistake on my part. I thought we already used the link one. But, you know, later I was like, oh yeah, no, it was because of the spell, right? So it is what it is. It's fine though. So again, here is why I like the deck so much. Mannequin get to tutor like an Ash or whatever, and that kind of cheats out, or, you know, special summons like a Volcanic from the deck, either level 3 or Volcanic Rocket, and that, you know, turns on basically any Volcanic engine. Plus, you already had like any level 2, Link 2, whatever to go for Sprint, and Sprint turns on the Sprite engine. Things go well together. So before you go for Gigantic, go for your big boss first to surge the monster effect negation, lock yourself into higher levels with Gigantic, you know, blue into Jet, into one of Starter. Starter should be Carrot, I think, yeah, because red is already in the graveyard, so yeah, like, look at this field. This field is definitely solid. Your opponent being under Gigantic, right? Scatter Shot to pop the entire board, and here, if I played it out correctly previously, there would have been no hand at all, so like, look at this, even playing through Interruption, you can end on basically one of your stronger boards. Masquerina during your opponent's turn, Sprint potential bounce, Carrot negation, monster effect negation, plus potential runic interruptions, so like this is really sweet. So shells send back, what is it, to the bottom, I think. Draw another Blaze Accelerator, not the best. I guess you could potentially banish your Phase of Blaze and then, you know, use the second one. That's fine though, doesn't really matter. In the long run, I guess going for your boss gives your opponent more burn damage, or banishing those Pyros gives your opponent more burn damage. So this is cool. Double Sunlight Wolf, one pointing, or, you know, the most left one pointing to my opponent's extra monster zone, but here in this case didn't really matter. Next on Kashtira, I believe, going first. So here, no interruptions, so that's fine. Like, Rocket going through, that's cool, and again going for Yugioh, getting a search. I mean, these are some standard, you know, standard plays, standard runic plays. This turns on the sprite. I mean, this card might get banned in the future, looking at Sprint, not because of this, but again, the deck, at least the card does so much. Looking at Gigantic sprites, the fact that you can use Gigantic with Link 1 again, going for another Yugioh, which is basically another level 2, so potentially there is no Masquerina play. There are some cards that could potentially give your opponent like a fire token to potentially trigger Masquerina. The new Foolish does that as well, but I don't think it's worth it, the new Foolish. So again, this field is kind of good. You have multiple runic interruptions, you have Carrot negation for potentially evenly matched Masquerina interruption for either Appaloosa or Unicorn, so again, super strong. And I'm not so sure what my set is, but I think it's going to be that monster negation, right? One of the Volcanic cards. Try to draw 3, kind of signal. Oh, there's Rimfire. This is all cool. So I should be going for Mask Unicorn. Okay, so bounce back Unicorn. Rimfire trigger, special, at least sends the, you know, the Volcanic boss to the graveyard, later to be revived next turn. Kind of cool. It's a fire attribute, so the Bestials are maybe more popular, or going to be more popular in a new format. So your opponent can't Bestial that over Crow, right? While Crow hits that one as well. So, you know, send Blaze Accelerator to the graveyard. This is nice. Special summon one of the shells, gets, you know, I believe the last shell, going for access code. I don't think I have my battle phase, but it's really not going to matter. Multiple interruptions, and yeah, this is more than enough to attack for a game. So last example, oh, this was an iffy one, but I still included this one because, like look at this. You're able to play through multiple interruptions, even through Nibiru. And that's where, let's say, a regular Volcanic deck will not succeed, I feel. I mean, you know, you're playing more of a control-based deck, I guess, if you're playing pure with Floodgates. So Yugioh, draw 2, both Ash. I mean, it's okay, I'm not complaining. So Sprint for Angler, and here I think the Nibiru should be dropped. I tried to go for Mannequin Cat. Oh, and yeah, to give my opponent a token, yada yada, right? But I get nipped. So 3 hand traps, 3 interruptions, but we can still go through. Use a, you know, the Blaze Accelerator, send Rimfire, send the boss will be special summon, searching the monster effect negation trap, yeah, there it is, while popping the nip at the same time, so super powerful, right? There is no draw here, so I'm not able to draw into a potential runic card, but I can negate Sprite Blue, yeah. Centaurea, okay, yeah, right, so Zeus is hitting the field, but this is fine-ish. I mean, it's worse, but I guess it's okay. So there's only 1 Zeus interruption now, I think. I believe 2, you know, materials. So I was like, okay, let's see, try to search one of the traps, gets impermed, that's fine. I'm just going to flat out pass, I think, yeah. Maybe hopefully drawing more runic cards to potentially force out Zeus, and this doesn't make sense. And I asked, like, what? And he kind of blanked. He misread the attack stat. So in the long run, let's say you would leave Zeus in defense, I would assume you would eventually be forced to go for Zeus, or use Zeus maybe on normal summon Rocket or something like that. So I don't think it mattered too much. I mean, it depends on the next draw here. So this field again, kind of strong. The next draw is a talent, so that's also super iffy, because again, no monster effects, you know, being activated during the opponent's turn. So, well, potentially Masquerina. You could potentially force out Mask if you have that... no, it was Red. Red does not have a sufficient attack stat? No, or does it? Is it like 1000 attack? I think so, no? Anyway, so this was an iffy one, as I mentioned before. So it is what it is. The early game for this duel, which is why I decided to still include it, because again, you know, it shows you that you can play through hand traps, through interruptions, while your pure Volcanic deck will struggle against it. So I'm a huge fan of this deck. This deck is super, super fun. Double Sprint is definitely good. The deck also got like a new link too, that kind of Sunlight Wolf for Banished. This one, but I'm not a huge fan of that. I prefer just a second sprint in the extra deck. So it is what it is. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave a comment or like. If you enjoyed the video, leave them signing out. Peace.